brothers and sisters. It's me, Lori Ann Spagna from LoriSpagna.com, here with you today to talk briefly about timeline trajectories and future timeline realities. So, for those of you who have been following my channel and my teachings regularly or in the past, you understand that timelines are experiences, choices that we make either consciously or unconsciously to experience to experience the reality we live in. And choices can be made by groups or by an individual. So we can choose things collectively or individually, either or both. The most important part about this that I want to say right now, as it relates to the Ascension journey, is about future timelines. And this is what's really important, because right now, and during the last 2 years, since 2020, all of the timelines and potentials for all realities became unified. In other words, they started to all overlap like one massive highway intersection, all coming together and eventually beginning to branch out and go into other directions. Now we're coming to the point where there will be divergences. In other words, choices of experiences, and this has already been going on over the last 2 years, that will segregate your experience from other people's experiences. This has certainly been going on since 2020 and before as well, always been going on in fact, but now we're becoming more consciously aware of how to navigate. So why is this relevant right now? Especially because as more and more shadow aspects are being brought to the surface, and what is a good word in this case for shadow aspects is things related to, we could say, conspiracy or dark agendas that have gone on humanity, or things that we wish we didn't have to know, or we didn't know, or maybe we didn't want to know about, groups and organizations. Maybe it's how big pharma's been secretly doing things, or maybe it's how the government's been doing things. It doesn't matter. World religions, we're starting to realize certain shadow aspects of our collective experience that we weren't aware of. Now, as we unpack this and start to break it down and start to realize what it all is, it's very important that we don't carry it into the future and project it into the future. So what I mean by that, we're creator beings. We're creating our reality. And very many people on Earth right now are beginning to realize how relevant it is that these things that we were unaware of are being exposed, and especially whistleblowers, for example, are exposing things that many people in the collective were not necessarily aware of. And we can understand that this is important and relevant because if we are unaware of things, we cannot change them. And if we don't know that they've been going on, we can't make a new path and new inroads. But if we don't recognize at the same time as these things are coming to the light that we are consciously creating our future as a collective and as individuals based on what we give our consent and authority to, based on what we perceive and believe, if we don't realize that, we will either individually or collectively miscreate our future. So I'll give an extreme example, because the goal is to help us create the future we desire. That's the point of bringing this up. Future timeline trajectories. We have to choose what we want. So I'll give an example. Let's just say that something from, some kind of whistleblower is being exposed and it's very upsetting, and then everybody starts to believe that there's going to be food shortages or water shortages, or everybody's going to turn into robots and artificial intelligence. This extreme examples, okay? And if you believe that and you start talking about it and you start literally physically giving your life force to it, I'm saying you, but whoever the person is manifesting and materializing, energetically lining up with that future timeline. And remember, these are all like highways that are intersecting, and you're getting on the freeway or the highway or the roadway of your choice based on what you're paying attention to. and giving your life force and your energy, your consent and authority to. So while it is very important to become aware of what's going on, so one can make choices and say, not interested in that, at the same time, one must also be consciously engaging with and vibrating with the energy and experience that you desire, that one desires, and putting that into your future rather than miscreating and lining up with a time-space reality that you don't actually desire. Remember, multiple potentials are available to us, and not everybody is going to experience the same thing. The past few years have been a good example of that, and we can easily use the collective COVID example. For an example, some people experienced horrendous experiences through that, and others, like myself, for example, I consciously chose to have an entirely different experience than others were having. I got in my car, I was traveling cross country, I was going in hotels and Airbnbs. I never had any lockdown, I had never had any fear of virus, never had anything go on in my life, no masks, no nothing. I lived a different experience because I understood how to masterfully use my energy, my consciousness, my intention, and use and project that into my future timeline for the coming year, which is now over 2 years. So as we are learning this, we will be more steady in creating a reality of our desire. But it is very important to recognize not everybody has to have the same experience, and what you experience for yourself personally is entirely up to you based on what you give your consent, intent, and authority to, what you pay attention to, what you give your life force and energy towards. So what you invest in energetically will show up into your future as you perceive it through your current state of awareness. So if you're wanting to line up with the reality where humanity is waking up in a benevolent way, where positive things are coming, where up-leveling things are happening, you can energetically align with that as you give your intent, consent, and authority to those potentials. And withdraw not through resistance or reaction or denial, through conscious awareness, through the recognition that all things exist, all things are possible, all things are real, and they are potential experiences, but then through the withdrawal of your energy, through non-resistance, through divine neutrality, aligning up with the energetic timeline projection of your choice, you shift and change the reality that you will experience. I want to give one more really wonderful example. I have a really beloved sister of light who refers to her physical body as a prison. And she believes and perceives that her body is a prison because she cannot exit it at will. And I understand this perspective. I never had that perspective. Myself, I have the perspective that the body is a vehicle to experience whatever I choose to experience, and that the body is a communication tool, a tool of communication that will assist me in knowing where my thoughts and emotions are going, where I'm out of alignment and where I'm in alignment. So when I'm feeling great and positive, excited, uplifted, the body feels the same. And when I'm feeling down or drained or depleted or exhausted, the body starts to show me and tell me what's happening. And as I'm tuned into that, I understand, and I also get to help others with that too, including animals. But the perspective for my beloved sister that her body is a prison, and when I pointed this out to her, she was quite attached to this perspective that the body is a prison. But for her, her body is physically ill. She has contracted some issues related to, this most recent COVID experience. She has contracted some physical diseases. And I'm not going to go into her storyline because it's none of my business, but it's just to give you an example, a very powerful example, because she's not wrong. It's her perspective, and it's the energy of her, and she does have sort of a whistleblower type of role. So when one has that kind of an experience, and when one is following that trajectory, they put that into their future because they're creating their life experience through what they give their consent and authority to. And so on the other hand, by contrast, if we're seeing the body as this wonderful tool that gives us the opportunity to experience physicality, and this wonderful vehicle that allows us to understand the connection between our mental and emotional state and our way of being, then that tool is going to be much more positively enhanced for us and for our life experience. Just one example. I hope it's helpful for you. The overall and most important thing to understand is the timeline trajectory concept, that what you're paying attention to right now will manifest in your life more and more with more and more intensity, especially as you give your perspective to it in your life force. So if you're perceiving something to be in your future that you don't necessarily like, desire, or want, or choose, the way to begin to shift out of that is by up-leveling your consciousness and your vibration, and by looking for and seeking, actively engaging with new potentials for something that is more desirable and ideally more benevolent for you, for your body, and for your life experience, and hopefully for the collective too. I hope this has been helpful. I realize it's pretty out there, but for those of you who are like me, who want to really, really be on the fast track of your ascension journey, those are the people in my tribe and my community. We want to be on the fast track of our awakening ascension journey. We are of the light. We are in service to the light, and that is our role and mission here. I hope this was helpful to you, and I just want to say thank you so much for all your contribution to the awakening journey. Okay, you guys, I love you so much. Until next time, I'll see you soon. Farewell for now.